Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Video 44 coming at you with another video. I just saw something online. It, it disturbed me on its face, so I felt it was important for me to speak about it. Um, Hassan Campbell, YouTuber. You probably heard me talk about him. I've mentioned him on this channel for various reasons over the last several years, a couple times. But this time, I guess, to garner attention, he was on Clubhouse once again, something I've also mentioned on this channel, an app used to kind of connect people and allow them to speak to one another in real time, like a walkie-talkie thing with a whole group of people being able to converse at once. So, make a long story short, he got on there and he was asked a question about FBG Duck's mother. You know, and FBG Duck is also someone I've mentioned on this channel as recently, as a matter of fact, because they've solved his murder that took place in the Gold Coast, Chicago area, very, very ritzy area. So this is his mother, you know, that we're referring to, and she's been vocal since his passing, has kind of made herself, you know, someone that's a beacon of hope for the war in Chicago right now. She's been trying to go out there and make it be known that you know, she wants peace. You know, she wants peace. She wants the killing to stop. And she kind of wants to unite people, and that's an important thing for where they are right now as a city in these areas. So you know, she's well known, you know, and it's one of those situations where it's like, I understand how Hassan Campbell's way of doing things. He's trying to garner attention, take his brand to the next level. I think he's reached a space in his career, YouTube wise, where he's kind of capped off. It's not really a whole lot of increasing from here. It's just everybody who messes with him, and that's about it. And he's trying to knock on the door and try to increase that. I think he's been doing things all year long to try to nudge forward. So I understand this is just another one of those stunts. And because I understand that, this is why I approach it this way. The display of what he did was off, but if there was a conversation behind the scenes where they were going to WWF this thing and just kind of have a back and forth, then it's all fun and games. I just worry about the display. You know, I'm worried about how it looks. So this is the thing. Hassan Campbell got on Clubhouse as he was asked a question about FBG Duck's mother, and he basically responded very, very disrespectfully, bringing up the fact that, you know, she had lost 5 of her children to violence, and which was not entirely true, but she did lose 5 children, and it's one of those situations where he got up there and essentially said that, you know, because she lost her 5 kids, if he was her baby daddy in jail, as soon as he got home, he would come home and kill her for allowing his kids to die. Obviously, one of the most disrespectful things and one of the most heinous things you could ever say, and I could argue it's a terrorist threat in theory, but nevertheless, he also went on to say that he had alleged that she had done some things sexually with her son's ops, you know, also known as his enemies, for those who are not familiar with that, which was, you know, something I didn't hear anything of, don't know nothing about, not interested in, not my business, none of his business. But the point is like, for him to get up there and question her character, mind you, this lady, we just found out, you know, the murder situation. They just basically arrest some people for her son's murder. So she's processing all of this, probably having to relive all of this once again. Here we have Hassan Campbell coming out for the world to see and hear, disrespecting this lady and essentially disrespecting every woman who's ever lost children to violence in the streets. I mean, it's not just about the isolated point that he's disrespecting FBG Duck's mother. That's not, you know, that's not necessarily the most egregious part of this. It's the fact that he used that lady as an example for what he feels ethically, which is that, you know, women who lose their children to gun violence without moving, who have the resources to move out of these neighborhoods, who stay in these neighborhoods and spend their money in these neighborhoods instead of leaving and protecting their children, in his mind, are failures. You know, if they lose multiple children. And it's like, who even fixed this in their mind to go to that place to be as disrespectful as to offend mothers who've lost multiple children to gun violence? I mean, why does your brain even go there? To come to certain conclusions. I understand Hassan's whole mantra is to show the example of what it is that he doesn't like to see in these neighborhoods so that he can hopefully scare people into changing their ways. So I literally understand what he's doing. I'm not one of those people that's confused by what he's ultimately trying to do. It's the same thing that Charleston White does. It's taking it to such a shock and awe extreme to point out the weaknesses that they see in our community in hopes of just simply changing those things. And I get that. But the methods can be so ugly. And this is one of those methods that we can't just allow, honestly. This is, and mind you, as an African American man, I look at this a certain way just because he's a black man doing this to, speaking of a black woman, speaking of a black mother, and then speaking of a black mother who's lost children. This is just like a bunch of different layered offenses, which is why I got up here and spoke. You know what I mean? I do not respect the display at all. Now, the spirit behind it, like I said, if there's a handshake deal behind the scenes, he, was willing to say certain things, and she would be willing to maybe take a bag or, enjoy the promotion, because obviously this promotes both of their brands. It gets them in a position to have more views, etc. Be talked about right now. That's a good thing when you're trying to garner attention, for which I understand they both want to do for various things. So, I mean, a lot of stuff is for entertainment only, and the people who need to understand it. So therefore, I kind of got the feeling this may be one of those situations, judging by how FBG Duck's mom responded. She was very serious, but she also told a lot of jokes, which allowed me to think that maybe she may have understood what he was doing just like I understood it, even though the method is just so awful and disrespectful. Ultimately, his goal is to try to steer young women away from that path if possible. But he didn't do any homework on this particular woman, which is why it's so disrespectful. She got up there and then explained to us how she lost all of her children. And it was like, Hassan, you look even worse, bro. You weren't even accurate, So I thought she handled herself with class, as I always see she does. That's never a thing, despite what's being alleged about her character. I wouldn't care if any of those things were true. That doesn't matter, because I understand what she also is trying to stand for, and that display is more important than anything he's alleging. And what she's standing for is saving lives, unity, what Chicago needs, which is a cease violence situation and more promotion of figuring out things another way. And you know what I mean? She lost sons, she lost a daughter. She's been through enough. Isn't it time for her to win? You know what I mean? The last thing she needs, in my opinion, is this type of energy headed her way. No matter what the intention is, no matter what the person's real purpose is for saying these things, it's not okay. It's hurtful, and I think a lot of people are gonna be hurt by those words, even if she's not. So that's what I think is unfortunate as well. A lot of people are gonna be hurt by that. It's a lot of women who've lost multiple children. A lot of people who just found themselves in that position and may hear those words and think low of themselves, right? Hear them words in their morning space and think low of themselves, because they may somewhere in the back of their mind want to beat themselves up for what it is that he's angry about. It's just a lot of damage that he's doing there, A lot of damage that I see he's doing there by saying those things. And, there were people in the clubhouse laughing, telling him to talk his stuff. People will egg him on. I think in situations like that, some people are just going to go along with whatever he said. He could flush a toilet and say anything, and they're going to encourage that. They don't have a brain for themselves in some cases, or just have their own agendas, or maybe they agree with him. But at the end of the day, I didn't like the point he was trying to make. I didn't like it. I even in understanding it, I didn't like it. Because some things you do more damage than good at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you may deter one or two people from falling down that path by hearing that message, but more so you're going to do more having some people cry themselves to sleep because of a million different things, including what you said. So for a person who in that same room talked about how he had cried right before the situation because he had found out some bad news, I can understand why he might have been flippant with his words in that situation, because he was dealing with his own thing. But at the same time, as somebody who's gone through what he's gone through, as everybody else brought up, I can bring it up too. Wouldn't that speak to you know, kind of a hypocritical thing? Being that you were someone in the streets, being that you had some of the situations that occurred in your life that we all know about, that may have been something that you could have been saved from as a child. Wouldn't that then be you kind of lashing out at your own mom in some cases? Because even though you didn't pass away, you were left out there, and a piece of you may have died with some of those experiences. I think a little bit of that was going on too. He was attacking FBG Duck's mom, but I think he was doing a whole lot of projecting right there too. So I look at things a lot of different ways, especially with the type of head I have. You know, I think he was more so mad at maybe his own mom, or maybe his baby mama, or what have you, something like that. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm glad that FBG Duck's mom was able to handle that with laughter, you know, and didn't allow herself to say anything up there that would get her in any trouble. That's the first thing you want to do, is defend yourself. People who appreciate you want to defend you, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And you know, the thing about Hassan Campbell is he's looking for attention. So the moment, everybody knows this, you don't even have to ask. When you're dealing with people that are not involved in what it is you got going on, you don't want to go in back and forth with them. So it can turn into a legal situation quickly. So I'm glad that she handled it the way she did. And it is what it is, man. You know, Hassan Campbell, she said it best. You're a clown, bro. You're a clown. We all know it. You know it. It's not something that I even shun you for. I think it's about getting attention for your brand, so you continue to push your message, so that you can hopefully see some change in the hood. I think you ultimately want that. I really think you want that. I think that your methods of trying to garner attention are confusing for a lot of people to follow. I think some of the things you've been through may have, you know, given you some damage, you know, in your brain. Honestly, I can relate to that. But at the end of the day, you know, hopefully you foregoing your ethics, just like a lot of people out here who are trolling. Hopefully you foregoing your ethics will lead to what it is you hope to see in this world. That's what I ultimately hope for all the trolls who have a good intentions. Because at the end of the day, that's how I look at you, the troll. Dude. I think if you were asked to apologize from behind the scenes, I think you'd be so quick to apologize for that, it's not even funny. You probably apologize before you even said it. That's why I'm like, you know, I think at the end of the day, with everything that's going on over there in Chicago, me personally, I would not feel any kind of comfortable disrespecting nobody over there without having a conversation if I had that type of attention on me. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. I'm just being real. That can cause consequences that you don't want to deal with. You know, for not only yourself but everybody else around you. So that's how I look at it. You want to be able to travel in this world. You want to be able to be comfortable where you go. So you got to watch what you say. I live by that. So it is what it is, man. That's what I got. I have respect for single mothers. I don't feel that way that he does. I don't look at it that way. I think if you can get yourself out of situations and they're not safe for your children, I think it is a parent's responsibility to do that. I don't think that he's wrong there. But at the same time, I don't blame you for what happens to your kids. Kids, you know, they're going to go outside. You know, you can spank them all you want. You can scream at them all you want. It gets to a point where they get so big, what you going to do? You know what I mean? But if you can get out of those situations, you want to get out of those situations, but those situations are home. That's what you know. That's your hood too. And that is hard for people to understand when they're not from those circumstances and they're not in those circumstances. It's like you're asking her to leave her home and you're asking her to leave the people she feels safe around. And even though they may be involved in a war, it's all she knows. You know what I mean? And she's trying to do good there. You know what I mean? Her leaving there means that she can't do some of the things that she's able to do while she's there. So she's trying. You know what I mean? And that's what I see. I'm not saying that she's a saint. I don't know who's a saint. But I know someone who's trying to show us how to get it right. I know that when I see it because I'm from LA. And we've had a few people show us how to get it right, which is why things have gotten a little better out here, if not a lot better. So she is going to be a major player in seeing things change in Chicago. I'm hopeful to see, you know, regardless of whatever is going on, regardless of what the truth is or what is, you know, I don't care. As long as she can help these people, that's all I care about. My name is BDL44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.